So good evening, Alexander. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. My name is Yura, and this is my teammate Sha. We are students working on a project for our sales course, and this information interview is an important part of it. The goal is to learn from your experience as successful B2B sales professional and gain insights into the strategies and skills you see in your role at Teltonica Networks.
Yes, we are really excited to hear about your career journey, how you approach prospecting, client relationship, and overcoming challenges in sales. We have prepared some questions, and the interview will take about 25 to 30 minutes. We are also recording it for our educational purpose, as we told you before, and now we have your consent, so I hope it will work good.
So we'll
Thanks. Thank you guys for having me, first of all. Yeah, thank you, Yuri and
Most
Shash.
welcome.
Hopefully, I'll be able to help you guys.
So we'll start with some questions. We have in general 30 questions about your career. So let's start. So the first section is about your career and what motivated you to enter the IoT and telecommunications industry at such a young age?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to get into sales at first. That was my primarily starting point. I wanted to get into sales, and the reason why I decided to go into the IoT and telecommunications basically because when I've been studying, we had a couple of courses related to that, and that was one of the industries that has been developing for quite a while. Got to know a few people working in the industry, so they recommended me a pretty good company that's been one of the biggest local companies on the market, one of the most fast-growing companies. So I thought that would be a great opportunity for me as a person who's just starting their career. So I thought that would be a great opportunity for me. So I applied, and that's why I decided to enter this industry, basically. And that's how it went. So I got to know the right people at the right time.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let's move with the second question. What challenges did you face starting in B2B sales at 25-year old, and how did you overcome them?
Primarily, there's one challenge in specific that I would think I would like to highlight, and it's actually included in the question itself, because when you're starting B2B at the age of 20 to 25, you usually have to deal with decision makers who are significantly older than you. So, unfortunately, it's only on the internet where you can see the young CEOs who are like younger than 30. Usually you have to deal with the people who are much older, the CEOs, directors, those people, the project managers, they are usually about 40. So at some point, you have to actually overcome the precision that you're just a young guy who doesn't know anything. Because at some point, you will face a person who has more experience, more years of experience than your age. So
Yeah,
I have people who
I
have
agree.
25, 30 years of experience. So when they see that, hey, I'm just 25 years old, they don't take you seriously. So that's probably the biggest challenge that you're going to face entering B2B sales specifically, because yeah, you're dealing with the clients much older than you, much more experienced, and you have to actually prove yourself. That's the biggest challenge, I would say.
Yeah, I
You have to
agree
prove
with
yourself really.
it. Experience is the must thing that you need to have to get in B2B sales.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, yeah, especially because you're dealing with different people, all of them different backgrounds, but at the same time, they're much more experienced than you. You can have as much knowledge as possible, but those people have experience. They have negotiation skills. They have industry experience. They know other companies. They know other people. They have connections everywhere. So you have to deal with that. You have to prove that you are worth their time.
Right.
Right, that's interesting. Third question, what's been your biggest career highlight so far?
I would say there are a couple of them, but I would highlight just one. Probably when we had a client in a company that's been buying for a couple of years, and they faced some significant problems with the stakeholder management. Let's put it this way. They were not placing quite a bit of orders. So when I joined the company and when I started working with them, I had to deal with a lot of challenges from their side. And while as soon as I managed to overcome those challenges and prove them that it's worth working with our company, that our product is actually worth it and it's beneficial to them, they saw that it actually benefits a lot. They can benefit a lot from this partnership. So it was mainly the relationship management from my side, and based on that, we increased the revenue from this company, I think 3 or 4 times in the last quarter.
Oh, that's good. I'm curious, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
There are a lot of things that I can say, but probably if you start working in B2B sales, if you don't like money, you shouldn't be doing sales. So I would say that, it's sales basically. So financial aspect is the most rewarding part of it, both for you and the company that you're working for.
Right.
So, how do you stay motivated in a demanding and competitive field like IoT sales?
2 aspects, I would say. The first one is the one that I already mentioned. As soon as the money is hitting your bank account, you're feeling much more confident in what you're doing. So this is of course, since it's sales, everybody's there for the commission, everybody's there for their bonuses, basically. So if you don't love money, you shouldn't be there, as I said. So of course, this is the first most important part and the most honest, I would say. The second part is how to stay motivated in this industry is you have to actually believe in your product. You will not be able to succeed long term if you don't believe in what you're selling. You would be able to sell something like 1 or 2 times to some specific client, but in the B2B sales, the big sales are coming from the long-term relationships. So it's always including visiting clients, going out with them, talking to them, overcoming problems, solving challenges, dealing with all sorts of things that might happen in the sales cycle. So I would say you have to actually believe in what you're selling. So for example, we are selling the product that I actually believe is one of the best on the market. So when I'm reaching out to the clients, it's not that I'm actually just trying to sell. It's the thing that I know that we are able to help them and we are able to help their business grow. So yeah, the first one, just to sum it up, the first one is the financial aspect is for a person, for us as a salespeople, but also being motivated by the product that you're trying to sell. You know that it's a long-term thing, and you're not there just for quick money.
Definitely, I agree. If you have confidence and faith in your own product, then you can sell it more easily.
Yeah.
So the next couple of questions are based on prospecting for clients. Let's move forward with that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you identify and prioritize potential clients in LOT and 5G communication sector?
There are a lot of ways how to prospect clients, a lot of ways, and would be pretty long topic. But to put it very shortly, you have to basically, of course, you have to have a clear understanding of who you are trying to work with, who is your targeted client, whether it's
Right.
if you're doing B2B sales, whether it's a distributor, whether it's a reseller, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's some other partners, some company that is just integrating your business or your service. So you have to understand who you are trying to find. Based on that, you would be doing your research. So as soon as you have a clear business image in head, you would go to LinkedIn, you would go to Google, you would go to your competitor's webpage. A lot of competitors are posting their successful stories with some of their clients. So you're, of course, going after them. So these are the main ways. You have to understand who you're trying to sell, who is the type of client you are searching for. And based on that, you're doing your basically Googling. Google is the best way. Googling, as I said, there are a lot of databases, governmental databases, especially since it's B2B, it's not B2C. So a lot of big companies are included in the governmental databases or doing public tenders. So they're participating in the governmental tenders. And when they are bidding on a tender, you can get access to that information and actually find out who your potential client might be.
All right. What tools or resources do you use to find leads?
Well, as I said probably already, it's mainly Google, LinkedIn, databases, bidding, competitors' websites. yeah, these are primarily two. There are a couple of also tools that you can purchase and use, like some software that might be used. So yeah, but primarily actually most of the conversations are happening just through LinkedIn, Google, Twitter, all the social media, because companies are usually publishing their milestones there. So it's much easier for you to understand what the business is doing, and based on that, you will be able to get in touch with them.
That's good. So let's move with the next question. What's been your most effective prospecting strategy, according to you?
Most effective. For me, what worked the best is probably going after the competitors' clients. I would say that it's the best. It's the best way to search for somebody, because you know for 100% that these people are using the product. For example, in our case, it's a hardware, so you know that somebody's using. I don't know if you are working for Apple, and you know that somebody's using Samsung, you might actually go after that client. So I would say, yeah, knowing that somebody's already using the devices is the best thing. It also depends on the industry a little bit, because if you're selling hardware, you probably would like to have a very good relationship with the distributors. So you just basically go to Google, search for distributor, and then the main thing is to get in touch with the decision maker. So what I would say is the best way and the most effective way to get in touch and to start the sales cycle with your prospect. Find the client based on the, I don't know, as I said, LinkedIn, Google, competitors' website, and etc., and find who is the main decision maker in the company.
Right.
So, how do you handle cold calls or emails with prospects who aren't familiar with Teletonica's products?
Mm-hmm. That's the most important part of, that this is the first step, how you're introducing yourself, and what is the image that they will have in their head when they read about, for example, Teltonica, right? As I said, first of all, you have to understand that you're reaching out to the right person, and you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting, because if it's, I don't know, some engineer or the person like who is not involved in the decision making process, you're just wasting your time, their time, and it will not go anywhere. So on a cold call or in a cold email, including both, you do your research on the company at first. You don't reach out just, hey, you want to buy this? Because nobody's going to buy, of course. You have to understand what you're trying to do. You have to understand what is the value that you are trying to provide to the company. So you do your research, you figure out what they are doing, why would they be interested in your device. You highlight the main advantages your company has. So you put that in an email, very short, very efficient email with as many details as possible, like introduction, who you are, why you're reaching out, what the company is doing, and how they would be able to benefit of it. In the same way as a cold call, you're reaching out to the person who is very busy usually. If it's a director, CEO, and as I said, like some project manager, they don't have time to talk to people, so you reach out to them, be very direct, and explain why you're reaching out to them. What is the value, if they're going to get any value. So the value proposition is the most important part. Try to deliver it as soon as possible. And also, if you want me to get more into the details, you can ask them. I'm just trying
Oh,
to make
that's
it short.
I would say that's a lot of information. And my next question is, how do you follow up with leads to ensure they don't go cold?
You have to understand in which part of the sales cycle you are. Because if it's, for example, the cold call, you don't want to be overwhelming, right? But at the same time, you don't want to lose the client. So you try to be a bit persistent, but not too much. So, for example, if you're just trying to book your first meeting with the client, you send an email. I don't know. Try to call them or send an email once per week, once per 2 weeks. As soon as you get in touch with them, and as soon as you booked your first meeting, when you already did your proper presentation, this is the moment when they would be interested to buy. So you don't want to lose that moment. in this case, this is where you have to take action and you have to be a little bit more pursuing. So try to move the client to the next stage as soon as possible, and actually try to move them to the next stage right on the call. So for example, if it's a hardware, try, I don't know, make them be interested in potentially buying a sample or test the software that you're trying to sell, or whatever you're trying to do, basically. So you just have to understand what is the sales stage you are in. And based on that, you have to understand whether it makes sense for you to go after the client right now, or it's better to wait a little bit. So usually, if it's something not urgent, just reach out once per week, per 2 weeks, per 3 weeks, sometimes, even if the client is busy. If you want them to take action, if you feel like this is the right moment for them and for you, you have to actually like reach out, offer, make an offer. The best way is to make an offer. This is, I would say, if whenever you're feeling that you have to take action, make an offer.
So our next section is based on building relationship. Yura, you can ask the
Yeah.
question.
What's your approach to building long-term relationships with clients in the IoT industry?
It's not specifically even in the IoT industry, but in general, you have to understand, first of all, the client's needs, of course, because sales in the B2B, it's usually this is the order. Could you please, I don't know, could you please process it? And you just exchange your performance, your POs, et cetera, et cetera. But to build a long-term relationship, you have to understand, is there any problems that the client is facing right now? So that's what your stakeholder management, this is the most important thing. You have to understand who are the decision makers, what are the problems that they are facing, and how you would be able to solve those problems. If it's a long lead time, for example, you have to make sure to work with the logistics that the devices or something or your product is delivered on time. If it's a software problem, you have to make sure that you're working with your engineers to solve the client's problem. If the client is satisfied and they don't have any problems, they would not have problems doing the long-term business with you.
All
So
right.
primarily stakeholder management, as I said.
So how do you handle client who are skeptical about your company, Teltonica's product and solutions?
I just believe that we are great. So basically, this is one of the things that we are in our company facing right now, because very shortly in IoT industry, Teltonica, my company, is the biggest in Europe, but they just started in North America. So nobody knows this company in North America here. So we have to actually build our brand. And whenever you're doing the cold call, this is actually a cold call. Nobody has ever heard about our company. So you have to make sure that you actually have a pretty good representation of what you're trying to sell. So yeah, it's usually just you have to believe in what you're selling. For example, I know our device has the best price, best quality, comparing with the best service included. So you just have to believe in what you're selling and believe that you're better than the rest, and believe that you have competitive offer comparing on the market. Because if you don't have anything, you won't be able to sell it. You have to understand how you are different, right?
So, what role does personalization play in your client interactions?
A lot, and I would say one of the most crucial, because primarily, again, we are talking about the people, the decision makers who receive cold calls and the emails every single day, hundreds of emails, hundreds of offers, right? So you have to understand, you shouldn't be reaching out just some generic email, for example, or some generic phone call. You actually go to your client, you actually do your research, what they do. You actually figure out how you are going to do business with them. You're trying to figure out how they would benefit out of it. So if it's for example, a distributor, right? If we're talking about a distributor for hardware, you have to understand that the needs of a distributor is proper margins. So you have to, they don't care about how much, like what are the features, blah, blah, blah. They care, what's the margin that they're going to get out of it. If you're working with the integrator, somebody who's going to integrate your device or your product into their goods, their systems, their solutions, or whatever you're trying to do. They might not care about the price, they care about the quality, they care about the features, they care about the services that you're included. So who is the client? Exactly what we talked. Who is the client who you're trying to reach? What is the type of the client that you're trying to reach? What would you be able to offer to them, and why they need to choose you? So these three things primarily. That's how you do the personalization. A lot of salespeople in B2Bs are doing too much personalization. So, for example, there's been situations when somebody sent a LinkedIn message, something like, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know that your dog died yesterday. That was a sad moment in your life. I hope you're doing well. By the way, how about we have a quick meeting next week?" So this is something that would be too much. You don't have to get into the details. You just have to be, you have to feel, you have to read the room.
I agree. So my next question is, how do you balance being professional while building rapport with clients?
Could you emphasize a little bit more on the question? What do you mean?
I mean, at some point when you have to deal with the customers, you have to make a personal relation sometime to get the client in so that you can seal the deal, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be professional at the same time. How do you manage these situations? Like being unprofessional and professional at the same time.
Okay. B2B sales, usually these things are very interconnected in terms of you don't really think about that because you're always professional. So these things you don't even you don't overthink. As I said, B2B sales are very long-term relationships. So when you're dealing with the same people all the time, especially when you're being transparent with them throughout the sales cycle, throughout your relationship, you
Right.
don't have to deal with that. When there is something happening, when they need your help, you are going to help them. When there is something that they need to do for you, you just have to be very transparent and direct. This is something that you have to gain their trust over time. That's something that you will not be able to do when you're just starting the relationship.
All right. What strategies have you used to turn a one-time buyer into a repeat client?
Right.
Um, hmm. As I said, so primarily there are a couple of stages of sales cycle, right? The most important part of your client turning into repeated client, and that's what you want to do in your B2B sales, right? You don't want clients just to having one pilot order, right? Because there are a couple of stages, right? When you go into the negotiation, there is a part where they place your first order, place the first pilot order, which is usually the order when they are, I don't know, trying to test, trying to see how they feel about the product, how they feel when they buy some quantity, testing quantity, and etc. So this is the moment when your negotiation skills and when your stakeholder management comes into play. You have, again, there are clients' needs that you have to make sure that you're satisfying your client, basically, that you are maintaining the relationship, you're solving their problems. When they feel safe, when they see that there is a benefit, whether financial or there is a product quality or something that you're offering different from other brands in the market, something that they can gain from the relationship with you, they will return back to you. So you have to make sure that the experience of the clients is, of course, good. That you're not only doing the sale but supporting them throughout the whole sales cycle till the very end. So when they place in a pilot order, when they're doing everything, you are with them together. You are contacting them, reaching out about the experience, trying to do business, trying to find new offers, trying to resolve the problems that they're facing, trying to make sure that everything is smooth as possible. And that when they see the benefit, when they see the support, when they see that there's some value that they can gain repeatedly over time, and that this value will only be increasing, they will get back to you. And again, Probably one of the best ways to make a client also get back to you is to make an offer. Make an offer that they would accept and see their reaction. So just make an offer, whether they want it or not. So, for example, they bought something from you. There's been some time. Make another offer. What they say. If they say no, well, what is the reason, right? You will not be able to understand why they're not repeating, why they are not coming back to you unless you make your first move.
Right. So our next couple of questions are based on probing and identifying needs. Because you are a professional, you know, like when you have to use the spin so that you can make the customer more repeat and finalize the deal. So let's go ahead. What are some specific probing questions you use to uncover clients' needs in IoT communication?
As I said, well, there is a lot to answer. So again, who is the client that we are dealing with? Let's choose one as, for example, some integrator. For example, IoT industry is related to the routers, switches, gateways, right? And we are talking with the integrator. So somebody who takes your product, puts in their system. So you just start asking questions. You just start. Um, you have to understand what they are looking for, basically. So it's basically the same thing. You have to understand who you're trying to talk to, what are their needs, etc. It's basically the same thing as I just mentioned. If I'm missing out on something, if you need more clarification, yeah, you can we can get more into the details. So could you repeat the question just one more time, maybe?
Like, what are some specific probing questions you use to uncover clients' needs in IoT communication?
Mm-hmm. Okay. For example,
Like
we're
you can,
talking in, yeah,
for example, like IKEA is your consumer this time. They
yeah,
want your Wi-Fi connection with the routers, modem, everything.
yeah,
How do you tackle them if they
yeah,
are something skeptic about your product or service or about your company? Then
yeah.
how
So
do you deal with this situation?
yeah, for example, we're talking about the integrator or somebody like somebody who does solution for IKEA or for somebody else, right? What is the device that they are using right now? Is there any connection problems? Is there, maybe they need dual SIM connectivity? So you get into the specifics because you're talking to the integrators. They are interested in the technical aspect of it, right? What are the so this is the one part, integrators. What are the features that they're looking for? Is the connectivity good? What Whether they need 4G connectivity, 5G connectivity. So you get very specifically, it's a very specific, very technical with them. If you're talking with the distributor, for example, you need I don't know, Walmart wants to sell our devices or something like that, right? How is the lead times with the other brands? Are you getting enough support from them? If your clients are having problems with those devices, who's going to support them? You, or maybe the other brands are also providing support. Do you need extra support? So you're mainly talking about the business aspect of it. So again, you have to understand who you are talking to, and based on that, you will be able to ask questions already, and you get into the specifics. So
So in
integrators, technical. If it's distributor, it's a very business related matter.
so in total, you are saying that you will be more accountable than other companies in the same industry, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say that we are, for example, if they're looking for more technical aspects, I would be able to resolve those issues. If they need more margins, I would resolve that. You just keep asking questions on what are the pain points of your client. You shoot questions to figure out what's the pain point.
Yeah, so we call it like clienteling. You will use this skill.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for this.
So the next question about the example, can you share an example where spin techniques help you close a sale?
Mhm. Mhm. Wait, you mentioned what techniques?
Spin
Spin
techniques like boomerang, when you like
situation, problem.
acknowledge everything and you throw your question accordingly.
Hmm. Okay. Need to figure out that part. This is probably something that I'll have to think about a little bit because usually when you are trying to close the big deal what I would personally be doing is to find, as per se, as what we call is the zone of mutual interest or zone of opportunities. This is where you are, again, you're making offer and you're seeing your client's reaction, how they are going to react to it. Usually when they respond, you're able to figure out what's their zone of interest. They need some specific price or some specific quantity. Okay, you're as the seller, you're making the first offer where nobody's going to accept the first offer. So they will get back to you with the feedback. Did you go too high? Did you go too low? Okay, they got back to you. Your zone of interest is decreasing. So now you have to basically work with them in this specific area. You keep asking questions, where you find the mutual field, the zone of opportunities or zone of mutual interest, and then you make another offer, see their reaction. So I would say in our industry, in the B2B specifically, the most important thing, making an offer, seeing the reaction, and making a counter offer. This is something that you would be able to deal with. You will have to deal with to find this zone of mutual interest and zone of opportunities.
So my next question is, how do you uncover unspoken needs during a sale conversation?
You make an offer.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, I will have to there are a lot of theoretical things that you might be able to do, right? But to be honest, the answer is very short. Make an offer. As a salesperson, as the B2B sales, is the person who's trying to, there is no way somebody will be telling you their secrets and somebody will be sharing with you their hidden insights or something that's what their pain point or something like that. They will share something, but the main important things you will not be able to understand unless you go direct. Okay, they're not very open about the price. Okay, they keep going back and forth. Okay, this is the price. What do you think about this? Oh, you went too high. Okay, now you drop it a little bit lower. You just make an offer, see the reaction, read the room. There should be another, preferably, that would be great if you had another person to observe, but you make an offer. Based on the offer, you see the reaction, you see the feedback, and you get back to it.
So let's move to the next section. It's about features, advantages, and benefits. And how do you translate technical features of Teltonika products into meaningful benefits for clients?
So whenever you're dealing with somebody because we're dealing with the hardware, technical features, of course, they are extremely important to the integrators. Let's put it this way: somebody who's using your device directly, who's reselling it, or who is installing it in a solution, in a system. So you just basically have to understand whether your technical features, technical aspects, fit the market criteria, and whether you are able to help your end client with it. So you're basically, again, you're asking questions. They are getting back to you with, for example, what's the main problem, whether you need dual SIM connectivity, whether you need single SIM connectivity, how many WAN ports, how many, et cetera, et cetera. You go very technical with these integrators, and then you just respond to them. So, hey, by the way, we have this very great product that is actually solving your problem. Oh, wonderful. It's actually cheaper.
All right,
So you have to understand the market needs, of course, market needs and the client's needs of the specific integrators. Yeah.
So what's an example where highlighting a product benefit won over a hesitant client as per your own experience in IoT communication?
Happens all the time and almost every day. I mean, we are dealing with the technologies, right? Technologies are changing all the time. So these situations, they happen every single day with every new client. I don't know, somebody has been using 3G in the past, 4G came out. Who was the first one to introduce 4G device? So at some point, the client has been using single SIM connectivity, or for example, there's been, I don't know, ATM machine, right? ATM machine that is connected through the cable to the internet, and then the power went off. There's no more internet. So you are reaching out to them and saying, hey, what are you going to do with all of your lost clients when the power goes off? Oh, so you're just going to lose your money, right? How about you install the cellular router inside? They are thinking, oh, right, because when the power goes off and the cord goes off, and there is a SIM connectivity device that's just connected via cellular connectivity, and the device will still process, will still have internet. You will not lose anything, so everybody else will be able to use the ATM machine. So this is just one of the examples. Again, right now there is a big hunt for 5G devices. So the 5G is the king right now. Who's able to provide the best 5G, the most reliable 5G connectivity is winning. For who's able to provide it at a reasonable price, of course. So I would say tech industry is changing every day. So it's a bit a hard question to answer with the one specific example. But as I said, yeah, it's with the ATM machine or with the 4G to 5G. All of these things are happening. You just have to ask the clients what they're looking for and what are the problems that they're facing.
So I don't want to interrupt you, but Yura, can you start the Zoom call again? Because within like 5 to 10 minutes, it will automatically get end.
No, we have 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Yeah.
But in total, we have only 40.
I have scheduled the
All right.
time. Yeah, that's good. No worries. So the next question, how do you demonstrate the unique benefits of Teltonic's 5G routers compared to competitors?
When you're reaching out again, when you're talking to the clients who are dealing with the 5G specifically, there are a couple of clients that are doing only 5G connectivity because they think that the 4G is already past stage. What they're looking for is basically the best price to value ratio, because 5G devices are extremely expensive right now. So one of our benefits is that we are more affordable for the same technical features, but at the same time we are manufactured in Europe, so it's not Chinese device, etc., etc. So we basically sell them a sample. You have to close the sample. They have to test it directly to the competitors and see how it goes. Because if it's just there are a lot of 5G devices on the market again, but some of them has one SIM card, some of them have two SIM cards, some of them have one modem, some of them have two modems. What they are looking for is something that you have to figure out at what price point. This is when you have to make a move, sell them a sample. So our primarily thing is that our 5G device is manufactured in Europe, has two SIMs connectivity, which is pretty good for the industry. It's industrial grade, ruggedized, so very high quality for industrial applications, but at the same time, it's more affordable than the leaders of the market. They're actually 2-3 times cheaper.
Right. So our next question are based on unique value proposition. Like what sets your company IoT solution apart from other companies in the same industry? Like what do you provide more to the community that other companies do not provide to make the initiative to be in the market?
In North America specifically, there is a very high demand on client support in terms of technical support. You have to make sure that your services and your support is extremely high quality, that the engineers are always available, that the clients are able to give a call to you at any moment, and to resolve these issues. So this is something that you have to master for North America specifically. This is something that a lot of businesses in our industry are lacking, because a lot of them are Chinese, and well, you will not be able to call China if you have problem, and you have to resolve your issue, or call some third party engineers. So in our case, our engineers are local. You're able to call them North American time. So for North American markets, it's very Pretty unique thing, I would say. Yeah, besides that, it's just generally the quality, the features, the pricing, everything is the market standard. Especially right now, a lot of things are moving away from China. So the fact that we are fully manufactured in Europe is a very big advantage to us. So that's the biggest difference that makes us from the other companies on the market.
So, how do you effectively communicate your unique value proposition to clients?
You have to do actually, I would put it in the 3 stages. You have to do a very clear, very short presentation, preferably to put some slides, maybe 3-4 slides with the main highlights of what they are actually getting, because you have to make sure that it's visual. If you will be just talking over the phone, it doesn't make sense. So you have to invite them to Teams. When you're talking to them, when you're discussing the product, you open up the picture, you open up your presentation. Be like, by the way, this is the product that we're talking about, and these are the features. You highlight the features with a very being very specific what they're looking for. Try to personalize the presentation too. Don't show like everything. Just show what the client is looking for. This is the first thing. This is the value proposition. So you try to describe it and show it on the presentation, on the call, for them to have a visual understanding of what they would be buying. After that, when they get a sample, you arrange a call together. For example, somebody is buying our device, right? We got them interested with the presentation. They bought the sample, but that's not it. You arrange another call with them, and you invite your engineers. And after that, you have a clear explanation of what are the features, additional features that your device might bring. So there are a lot of things that are not on surface. So engineers can get into the details. They can explain even more. So when the client is already interested, they will be hearing about all of those features that he didn't even know about. He'll be like, oh, I didn't know it was there. So you get into these details, and then after that, it's already moving forward with, as I said, just relationship management. So I would say whenever you are calling the client, highlight very generally, very specifically why they would be interested in you, and then land them on the presentation. And on the presentation, highlight main things on the PowerPoint. Let's put it in PowerPoint. 3-4 slides, not more than that. They don't need more than that. 3-4 slides with the main information about why you.
So our next questions are based on handling objections. Like, what are the most common objections you face every day in your life, and how do you overcome it? How do you win?
Objection handling is something that probably every salesperson has to deal with like 50 times a day, right? So it's starting with, sorry, I'm busy right now. Can you call me again? Like tomorrow. Can you call me? Sorry, I'm driving. Don't have time. Let's talk to me. Send me an email. Oh no, actually, it's probably the best example would be like, yeah, I'm interested. Send me an email. That's the one thing that every salesperson will have to deal with. You should not be sending emails. You should not. If you're reaching the decision maker and they are telling you to send an email, you don't send an email, because that's
okay.
when you are losing the client. That's it. You're done. They will never get back to you. Your goal, if you are calling the client, you have to basically book a second meeting. That's it. That's your goal. You have to make sure that so for example, when they are telling you, hey, send me an email, and I'll take a look at that, and then we can discuss it. What you can respond with, oh, absolutely, I will definitely send you an email very shortly. By the way, what's your email address, if you don't mind me asking? You type in email address. They're like, okay, yeah, sounds good. So I'll include the product portfolio there. And just by the way, I know that from my personal experience, it takes a lot of time to go through all the documentation and everything. How about tomorrow we do just 15-minute call? I already have your email. How about I send you an invite right now, and we can jump on a very quick call when I'll be able to explain you everything that I will include in my email. So that would be like, okay, okay, sounds good. Yeah. So you just send an email, and then whether they show up or no, that's that's the other thing. But that's at least one of the examples that you have to deal with. Other ones would be, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I already have partners, so I don't need it. Well, if you have partners and you're talking to me, maybe that's not right. So there are a lot of things, but that was probably one of the most common examples that I said. Send me an email.
Okay, and can you share a story about overcoming a particularly told objection?
Kind of. I kind of just did. But okay, let's take another example, right? It's
Let's
for
continue.
example, we had a little bit different objection. I have
Right.
a full portfolio. I don't need any other. For example, you're calling the distributor. They have all big brands in the portfolio, and they would be like, I don't need you. Why would, for example, they have, I don't know, if you are Nokia or Siemens, if you're Nokia or Siemens, you're calling the distributor and they would be like, well, I have Apple, I have Samsung, I have, I don't know, Huawei or whatever. Why would they need another Nokia, right? So that's what happens a lot. In this case, you have to again ask questions. So what I personally did, and there was a situation, I reach out to the distributor. They have all top brands and they don't want one more. So what I'm asking is, okay, sounds good. In this case, you have to know your value proposition. So I know our device is as good as the best devices on the market, but it's less, 3 times less expensive. So what I'm saying is, oh, it sounds amazing. Absolutely, I know that. I understand that taking new vendors, it takes a lot of time. Uh, do you have a situations when somebody wants to buy brand X, which is much more expensive? Do you have the situation when they want to buy it, but they actually can't afford it, and you're just losing the client, right? There are situations like this. What do you do in this case? Um, well, I don't know. Sometimes I use the other brand. Oh, what kind of brand are you using? Mm, I use this. So, you know what? Actually, we are direct alternative to these best brands that you have, but we are 3 times less expensive. So if somebody is willing to buy this most expensive, the best brand on the market, but they cannot afford it, that would be the niche that we are able to take. So this is, for example, one of the, and that was actually a successful story. The client became our distributor. So yeah, this is just a second example, second objection that
That means
usually.
creating a different price segment works well for your company, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because as I said, we have top quality, but we are a little bit less expensive. So usually the niche that we are taking would be somebody who's looking for, if again, I don't want to include any other brands from our industry, but for example, they want Apple,
Yeah.
but they can only afford, I don't know, Siemens or Huawei or whatever is on the market. So they want Apple, but they can only afford something less expensive. That's where we are there, and actually all the clients are very happy that they're switching. Maybe our strategy will change in the future when we have a bigger brand name. We will increase our prices, of course, so we'll have to adjust the value proposition. But that's something that's been working for us for quite a while.
All right. So our next couple of questions are based on closing strategies. So based on your experience, what's your favorite closing technique and why?
There are a lot of closing techniques, and I did we had a couple of lectures even on the closing techniques and the negotiation skills. However, what we figured out is that there's only one technique that works the best, and I already mentioned it in this call, is to make an offer. That's from our experience, from all our company, and from all the theoretical parts that we went through, and from our practical part. Nothing works best, Nothing works better than making an offer and seeing what they say about
I
it.
have a question in it. Like, do you mean by making an offer is like reducing your price to give them a good price?
No, you just make an offer. For example, when
Yeah.
you're closing, that means that the client already tested everything. The client has relationship with you. You did all your work before, so now that's it. They need to buy a pilot. Like they need to buy. They need to commit right now with a certain amount of money. How to do that? What is the price that you need to give them? Right? What is the quantity that they are ready to buy right now? um, they are going back and forth. Nobody's usually saying very shady, like trying not to be very open. So you say, okay, how about this? I give you the price of $500 for 10,000 pieces. How does it sound to you? And you just give something that you think would be good. And that's when the conversation keeps going. So after, as soon as they hear an offer, as soon as they hear the first something that they can rely on, this is where the conversation starts. So after that, they are um, you keep negotiating, keep going back and forth. They make an offer, you respond, you think about it, you make a counter offer, and somebody has to observe how they react to it. Basically, you're exchanging offers, and then when you're coming very close to it, that's where you can do the uh, add wish list, what we call is basically, as soon as you're very close to closing it, you're almost closed it, you say, oh, by the way, how about in the next quarter, with this order you need to take, I don't know, some additional services. Deal? They usually say yes. So this is probably one of the
Yeah.
interesting tricks to include
Because
here.
I asked because we have been told that in B2B sales, we don't negotiate easily. Like that's not a good approach. As per the
What do
money
you mean you don't
company,
negotiate? Yeah, what do you mean easily?
like when we do business B2B,
Yeah.
then like professor told us like we don't negotiate easily, like we don't drop the prices
Oh yeah, you don't
for
drop the
our
price.
service for any product.
Okay,
It's a rare
first of all,
case.
yeah, well, of course, you don't drop the prices. That's why you're making an offer to see how they react. You don't give your best offer. So that's one
We
thing. You
just
don't give your,
increase the quantity, you mean, right?
yeah. You just make something that would. Uh, First of all, nobody is taking a first offer. So when you are making this offer, you have to make sure that it's like not your best, not the
Right.
best that you can. You just give something that how they react. Usually you increase the price, you increase the quantity, you actually overcharge usually with the first offer to see how they react, and then based on that, maybe they will decide to drop not that much. Maybe they will be okay with this price but just a little bit lower, and that's actually much higher than you would be okay with. That's where you have to find the zone of mutual interest. What is the highest price that they are ready to pay, and what is the lowest price you can go. So this is your zone of opportunities. That's why when you are making an offer, you're doing it somewhere here, right? If they need it, I don't know, they need they, for example, this is the zone of opportunities. Price that they are ready to pay, price that you're ready to sell. You make it's not going here or there. So you make an offer and you say, okay, how about this? How about $500? And the price that you gave them is actually much way above their their maximum price they're ready to pay. So they will be like, oh, no, I think that's too much for this quantity. I think what we'd be okay with is something here, you know. So it's still much higher than you would expect. You are actually ready to negotiate even more down. But as soon as you feel that it's in your zone of opportunities, okay, you close the deal.
All
You
right.
just shake your hands. So yeah, figure out the zone of opportunities, minimum and maximum, uh, your wish list, and make an offer, and make a second offer. Usually, second and third offers are the ones that you close.
So how do you ensure clients feel confident about their purchase after closing?
Uh, that's an interesting question. Like, I mean, when they are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, I mean, yeah, they have to be pretty sure before that. So it's a bit of a hard question for B2B, I would say. Like, that can happen when you're doing the pilot order. So okay, yeah, if you're doing the pilot order, if you're doing some testing orders, like smaller batches, as I said in the beginning, like you make a sale, you make sure that all the technical features are already explained, technical support is there, business support is there, lead time is in place. So all of these aspects, all of the potential pain points are in place, and that's when you, like, that's what's leading to negotiations. Then when negotiation happens, usually you just keep doing the same thing, but like you don't have to be that much on top of them, because they are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, so they most likely they know what they are buying. So yeah, you just have to do the same thing. You just have to make sure that their pain points are resolved as fast as possible.
So let's move ahead with recommendation for students like us and our fellow friends. So what advice would you give to someone starting a career in B2B IoT sales?
Well, of course, uh, you have to understand the industry that you're in. So you have to understand what's happening on the market, right? What are the brands? So you have to learn the industry, basically. First thing. Second thing is, of course, you just need to get into sales. You just have to start selling. You have to start calling clients. You have to. There's no other way, because usually in tech industry, the one good thing about tech industry is that young salesperson is actually almost as good as the person who's been there for a long time in terms of sale. Like, I'm talking about specifically salespeople, because I had people in my team who are 50 years old, that have 35 years of experience, and sometimes it doesn't really help them. So you just have to get there. You have to get your first internship. You have to understand the market. You have to be open about technology. You have to understand that technology are very changing every day. So if it's IoT specifically, what are the trends, where the market is going, whether it's growing, whether it's going down, and you have to you have to put your foot into the doorstep,
Agree.
and start working. So basically, there is not much that you can do about it. Of course, there are some soft skills that you need to have before starting. So learn the industry, learn some soft skills in terms of objection handling. Objection handling is the most important part. Everything else will come in practice, basically. But objection handling, knowing the industry, knowing value proposition, and stakeholder management. 4 things which I would say the most important. Everything else will come in time.
Gotcha.
So, what skills should students develop to excel in this industry?
Kind of what I just again kind of what I just
I know you
mentioned.
had just I said, huh?
Yeah, basically, as I said, just to highlight, just to sum it up, from the soft skill, stakeholder management. In B2B, you will not go anywhere. You will not be able to succeed in long term if you cannot manage do stakeholder management. The one thing, most important part between doing B2B business and B2C is that as soon as the sale is closed, that's not the end of your responsibilities. You actually have to take care of the things afterwards. For example, we had a lot of salespeople who were very successful selling cars. They were extremely successful. But the problem is that when the car is sold and the person just went away out of a dealership, that's it, your responsibilities end. So when they get back to you, you don't really care. They already spent the money. When you're dealing B2B business, when you're trying to maintain those long-term relationships and you make a sale, the client is buying, they actually get back to you with more questions. They actually get back to you with the problems that you need to resolve, because based on that, they will be placing more orders in the future. So stakeholder management. Yeah, besides that, there are other skills, like as I said, just understanding the industry, being a little bit extroverted, so being able to step out of your comfort zone, being a little bit rude sometimes. You actually have to be very direct sometimes. You have to interrupt people. You have to let them know, like you have to overcome those social anxiety things.
Definitely. It's just the game of tongue, right?
Yes. Yeah, master tonality. Actually, one of the things that might work good is mastering your tonality. Something that would be interested, something that works pretty good for salespeople is master tonality when you're talking to the people, to talking to the decision makers. Because if it's a serious guy who had a bad day, you don't want to be calling them saying, "Hey, how's it going? My name is Alexander. Today, how about? Do you have a minute? Do you have a minute?" No, you want to be more serious. You want to sound mature. You want to, this is the tonality, how you put it. You want to sound. You don't want to sound like a salesperson. The main key goal of being a successful salesperson anywhere, actually, in B2C and B2B too, is not to sound like as a salesperson. You are there to help them, not to sell to them. That's
Oh,
what they.
you
That's
need
the
to show
important.
empathy, that means.
Yes, yes, but at least for them, at least this is something that you want to represent.
I agree. So let's move with the next question. It is based on challenging sales calls. So can you share a difficult sales call experience and did you turn it around?
Um, as I said, all sales calls are hard, and they all include objection handling. And the objection handling is something that you have to deal with. So, whenever you're on the presentations, sometimes there is a very technical guy who who sees that you're not experienced in the technical aspect, so they would start bombarding you with questions, the answers to which you don't know. So this would be something that you have to deal with on a daily basis, saying things like, um, hey, just one thing, I'm not a technical guy, there are some things that I know, but we can talk about the general features about of the device, what you're looking for. If this is something that aligns with your needs, how about this, we can set up a separate call in about 15 more minutes, or maybe tomorrow I will invite one of our engineers. He will be able to join, and we will be able to cover all other technical aspects that you need. So this would, for example, one of the problems that happens. Another
So
one is
Mr.
just,
Yeah. So Mr.
yeah.
Alexander, everything you have said, it's adding knowledge to us. So I have two more couple of questions for you, like two or maybe three.
Hmm.
So my question is that as I'm a student, me and Yura and other fellow friends, we are students of professional selling, and we are heading towards to get in the industry of B2B. Can you tell us how can we get into the industry? Like you can share your own experience as well, so that how can we, like as we are fresher right now,
Hmm.
it's hard to show the experience. Even though you have experience as B2C, it
Hmm.
won't work.
Yeah.
I'm like curious how it could be possible to go directly that way.
The greatest thing about it is that um, your sales experience is starting at the moment when you start applying um, to different internships or the first entry level jobs,
Right.
because you are selling. This is your first task, basically. This is how you actually figure out whether you can do it, because uh, the main question is, you have to ask yourself, are you able, despite, like, talking about selling something to somebody is one thing, are you able to sell yourself to the
Definitely.
companies? So are you able to create a good resume, which is basically a cold email, right? So master it. And again, what you have to do is do the research. There is a specific industry, specific company that you're trying to apply to. Personalize your resume. How personalize your CV, for example. How you would be able to put and deliver the message as soon as possible. How you would enter your first interview, right? how you would represent yourself, what you're how you're going to talk to, what's the tonality that you're going to use. And also, as in B2C, the connections are very important, because as in B2C, you will not be able to close the deal until you get to the decision maker. So to get to the decision maker, you actually have to make a couple of calls to the people under the decision maker in the organizational chart. So you just have to use those same skills in your every day-to-day life. Since you are right now students, talk to the other people, go to the different conferences, just be open to the world, talk to and gain more experience, talk to them. Oh, there is somebody working in the sales job, or maybe they would be looking for somebody in the entry level. Hey, by the way, I'm looking for this. Go out with them, talk to them. Maybe they can refer you. So this is the main point. The greatest thing about sales job is that you don't actually need any experience to start working there. You have to make sure that you're able to sell yourself. This is the best thing about it, and it's not comparable to a lot of other industries.
I completely agree with your point, brother. My next question is that as you are in B2B sales, so at that level, are you satisfied and do you see any future? Like, is there any growth? And yeah.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, of course. Like, as I said, two things. Um, Sales are always here. We are not afraid of AI. We are not afraid of anything that would be able to substitute us, because sales are always about human connections. Sales are always about talking, explaining, negotiating. So sales will always be there, and financial benefit of it will always be attractive to people and attractive to me. And again, believing in your product. If you know that your product will now, and the service that you're offering will not disappear in 2 to 3 years, of course you want to stay, because you know that your company will grow, you will grow, and your bank account will grow.
I agree. So my next question is that as most of the people in Canada are international students, they are not that they don't have any like that level of linguistic skills. So can they be in B2B sales? Because in B2B sales, we have to talk more, we have to be perfect in language. How can we tackle with this problem? As we are in good in numbers, and this field is really good as we are also attractive for the commission-based system.
Yeah.
This is the only way, like when you work hard, you don't just get the appreciation, but you can also get the bonus compensation and all as well. So
Yeah.
that scenario, what's your opinion, suggestion, or anything?
You have to, yeah, unfortunately, you do need to know how to articulate the most, like the message to the client, especially unfortunately in B2C. That, yeah, that's the one thing. In B2C you would be able to just, I don't know, talk to with not the best like level of English, just to deliver the message, because the conversation is going to take 5 to 10 minutes, right, when in B2C or
Yep.
something like that. When it's B2B, unfortunately, you have to not only the language, but to understand the culture, because that's extremely important. When you will be meeting big clients, when you will be meeting them, it's not going to be only talking about the deals, right? The most important part, they're going to enter the room, and some of them will be asking, hey, did you watch the hockey game yesterday, by the way?
Yeah, you have to make the environment right.
Yeah, you have to understand the culture that those people live in. And we had the situation, like some people are entering the room who are not from Canada. They have perfect English. They're asking, did you watch hockey yesterday, Maple Leafs? Uh, no, I don't watch hockey. I watch football. Football? Oh, actually, it's soccer. It's called soccer, and that's it. It didn't go anywhere. So you know, these things are very important. So yeah, you do need to at least you have to be able to articulate main message. The accents and etc. is not that important. You have to actually have you just have to deliver the message and have an understanding of the culture.
I agree.
For example, you don't want to be calling in Texas and I don't know, start talking about Canadian politics to those people, right? It's not the best idea, and the vice versa. So you have to understand what's happening there. Read the room.
Yeah. So my next question is, what's the best way to connect with the people in your industry with higher position to get into the industry? Like LinkedIn is the most famous platform, as we all know. Is there any other way? And if there is, how can we?
LinkedIn is the best way, 100%. You just send a connection request, you apply to the job, you communicate with the HR, you can communicate with other sales manager, and sales managers are pretty important, pretty open people. So they are always okay to talk to you on LinkedIn. We talk to hundreds of people a day, so one more message usually does. Like if somebody texts me, I'm able to respond pretty quickly and just give a couple of advices, or maybe even refer a person if I see that they might be a good fit. But if you want to talk to somebody like higher,
Yeah.
then yeah, definitely LinkedIn, personal email, maybe sometimes emails. But I would say LinkedIn is the best way. LinkedIn and social gatherings. You have to
What
go,
kind
yeah,
of gatherings?
like different in the industry conferences. So, for example, there are a lot of IoT conferences happening in Toronto. You might go there. There are a lot of I don't know tech conferences, fintech conferences. So you just go there, talk to the people. Usually, either sales are always there. Sales are always interested. So
And
you
there
go
as
there.
well, like we have to sell ourselves, right?
Yes. So you have to see those. So yeah, I would say two main ways. LinkedIn, try your luck.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not, but you have to try it again. Try your cold emailing, try your cold messaging, and see whether do you get any response. And social gatherings, you're communicating directly to the people. Talk to them, sell yourself, introduce yourself. How you're going to introduce yourself, what you're going to tell about yourself, and explain why you are there. Yeah, that's basically already the first part of sales.
Yeah, I got it. So my last question, Mr. Alexander, is that as we are graduating in the recent month, like within few months, so what piece of advice can you give to us so that we can make a good career?
Get out there. Get out there. One thing, get out there. Go somewhere. Talk. Expand your connections as many as possible. Don't sit like you will not be if you're planning on doing sales. You will not be able to do sales in your room. You have to go out. You have to talk. Have a few drinks. Go out. Talk. Go to social gatherings, conferences of your interests. Expand your social network as much as possible. One thing, because that would be able to help you land your first, potentially might able to help you land your first job, because it's very rare that somebody is going to see that you have zero experience and take you and invite you on an interview. So yeah, it's usually reference based for the entry levels.
One more thing, like whenever, like if even if we attend the conferences and all, like what is the right way to connect with people so that we can get the reference and get into the industry? Because I think for some people this couldn't be the best way to ask directly. How would you like to deal with this kind of situation if you fit yourself in our shoes?
That's what happened to me. Basically, that's how I got there. That's I had zero experience in sales, and I got into the sales as my as the first job. Um, I got out there. I met a few people. We had one conversation. I kind of mentioned that I was interested in it at some point, but never really went there. We had a lot of discussion. I started asking questions. Oh, so what's your day to day? Like, do you talk to these people? Do you talk to these people? Oh, that sounds very interesting. how about let's go out for a beer right now. Let's maybe let's go grab a drink or two and talk a little bit more. You just go out, you talk, you have a few drinks. Next day, you just be like, oh, by the way, are you guys hiring? You let me know if you would be able to refer me. So it's a bit of a long-term game. It's
Yeah.
very rare that you would be able to do it on spot. Like, hey, I just met you. Please refer me. That's
So it's
why
like that. It's like that. They can ask you, do you like the hockey game? And you have to make a comfortable environment in the game according to you so that you can get comfortable and get to know each other. Then you can play your card, right?
exactly. You
That's the
you
way.
spend that evening talking to them. You spend that's why I'm telling you to get out there right now already. The more you start talking to people right now, you don't know where they end up. Some of those people might have connections already in the companies, their relatives, their friends, blah blah blah, the friends of the friends. They will get there, they will start working there, but you already know them. So in about a couple of months, they are able to invite you on the interview. So that's a bit of a game that you have to play. That's the most realistic thing. Get out there, talk to people, talk to as many people, meet them, and you will be able to get it. Be the right place in the right time.
Yeah, that's the important thing. That's it.
Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Alexander, for taking the time. We have learned a lot today, too much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah,
Yeah, it was great talking to you too. I hope I was detailed and I was not going around much.
No, you are right. Once again, I would like to thank you, Mr. Alexander, for being part of this educational experience. We look forward to applying what we have learned from you, as everything that you have said so far that adds to our knowledge to be more successful. We can use that. And that's it. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you guys too. Good luck with your project and everything. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.